Hello and welcome to what is usually the debrief, the show where we take a look at yesterday's game, we have a little discussion, the live chat is active, the Hammers chat subscribers get involved, and we get their comments up on the screen. We have a wee chat about the game yesterday usually, but all things considered, I don't think too many people will be wishing to discuss the game that much. However, if you join me live, please get your thoughts into live chat, regardless of what it's about. This is a show where you can have your say. There's 9 days left of the transfer window. The board have two options. Well, they have three. Only two are possible. One's incredibly dangerous. Now, the two that they've got to choose from is to back Graham Potter or sack Graham Potter. They have to do one or the other. Now, at this point, I'm on the side of sacking Graham Potter. However, it comes with that reservation of, well, what will happen next? Because the truth is, I don't trust this board at all. So they could sack Potter, but I think the guy they get in to replace him would be just as bad, if not possibly even worse. If I was confident the board would bring in a really good manager, or just a good manager, that could improve the group of players that we've got, then I'd say sack him. That confidence is not there. But it doesn't mean I want Potter to stay necessarily. It just means that I probably don't care as much about it as I should do. Last night, I was keen for him to go. I was angry last night. I'm not angry this morning. I'm just sad. My anger, I had my rant last night. I had my vent last night, and that's no longer here. I woke up this morning just feeling a little bit sad and miserable, to be honest with you. And I read some of the subscribers' comments on the review last night, and there's people that's been going to West Ham far longer than I've been alive. People saying, oh, I've been going since 75, was there tonight. I don't think I'm going to go to another home game this season. It's the first home game this season. They've already had enough. And I feel sad when I read that. When people are walking away, I feel sad that they've got to the point of no return. And that makes me feel sad. But back to the board here. What you want and what the board do, often two different things. But what they have to do is either back Graham Potter, which is go get him the players he wants and spend a lot of money and pray that it works, or sack him and go get someone in that can work with this group of players. Because at the minute, there's 9 days left of the transfer window. If you act quickly, what they cannot do, this is the possible scenario that they could do, which would be the worst one, which is nothing. Which is to dither, which is to be unsure, which is to say, the last thing I want to see right now, today, tomorrow, whatever, the last thing I want to see, and I think we're going to get it, is that Graham Potter's got 3 games to save himself. And they'll move the goalposts. We'll lose against Wolves and go, oh no, 3 league games. Sorry, 3 league games. We beat Wolves. I go, brilliant. Counters reset. We'll go into that 3-game periods, 3-game cycle that this board love to trot out, and I hate it. I cannot stand it. You get to the point where you say to the manager, you've got 3 games, you've already decided you should probably sack him. 3 games ain't enough. If a manager wins the next 3 games, he doesn't go from crap to good. He's just won 3 games, right? What they cannot do is nothing. What they cannot do is just sit in the middle and not back him and not sack him and let this season go ahead with what we've got currently. That is, in my opinion, relegation. If they back him, and when I say back him, I'm talking 100 million plus here. Maybe we'll stay up. I don't know. But what I do know is that we'd have more chance staying up, bringing in quality players than what we do today. They've got 9 days. And if they are going to sack him, they've got to do it now. They've got to do it this weekend so that come Monday, Tuesday, the new guy's in and he's got just under a week to have a look at the squad and bring in the players the new guy wants. So he's got a chance of keeping us up. And I'm worried because in order to feel comfortable, you've got to feel confident. And I don't feel confident. I don't feel confident in the board getting it right, whatever they decide to do. If my prediction regarding Graham Potter or the situation right now for West Ham, my prediction is that they won't sack him and they won't back him. I think they'll bring in some players. I just don't think it'll be enough. Up until yesterday, I was still thinking we need 4 more. 2 midfielders, a centre back, and an attacker, whether it be a striker or a winger. It depends on what Potter wants to do. But I think we needed one of them. I think we need both now. I think we need 5 players now. There's an argument we need another one on top of that. I think we need 5 players. There's 9 days of the window to go, and they're pleading poverty again. And it doesn't add up. We're just getting fed a load of bullshit. 45 million bid for Andre Santos went in, apparently. And then he spouts that we can't afford 40 million for Fernandes. So which is it, right? It can't be both. My worry is that they won't sack Potter. And I don't think they will. I'll be shocked if they sack Potter, even if we get beat on Tuesday. And then Nottingham Forest, it's too late. By the time we get to the Forest game, it's too late. Because there's 1 day left of the transfer window. If they're going to sack him, it's got to be this weekend so that it gives them time to get someone in and gives that someone a bit of time in transfer window. An opportunity may present itself to the board with Nuno leaving Nottingham Forest. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But if Nottingham Forest leaves, there's an opportunity there for the board to get someone that's unemployed and more importantly, can play with 3 at the back, which is what we're building this squad for. Because that's the thing with backing Graham Potter. We go all in on this, which is building a squad capable or suited to 3 at the back. If you do sack him eventually in October or November, you're probably going to be looking for a manager that can work with a squad that's suited to 3 at the back. Now, we could obviously discuss and debate whether the squad is actually suited to 3 at the back or not. I'm inclined to say no at this point. But what I would say regarding Juve is that is a left wing back. He's not a left back and he's not a left winger. He is left wing back. This board have an opportunity today. We know a few things. One thing we do know, if they want to, and when I say board, I include them all. It's not just David Sullivan. I include Kretinsky. I include Gold. I include Chip Smith. All of them. Anyone with a share in West Ham United. When I say board, I'm talking about all of them here. That board, if they want to, could put 90 million in today in an equity share. They can all put in the right amount of money equivalent to what their share in the club is, whatever David Sullivan's got. I know that Kretinsky's got 27%, so let's use him. He puts in 27% of 90 million. Sullivan puts in his share. Gold puts in their share. They have to do it. Put that 90 million in. Because that 90 million counts towards PSR. In the way that PSR works, essentially, you buy a £50 million player today on a 5-year contract, only 10 million hits your accounts in terms of PSR today. So you still got 80 left. You can actually spend a lot of money with that 90 million. Of course, cash flow becomes an issue long term. But long term, cash flow is going to be a massive issue because at the minute we are staring relegation in the face. And we would, in 12 months' time, if we stayed up, we'd go, oh, crikey, things are a bit tight. We did all that spending up last summer. It's going to be easier to fix that than it is if we get relegated. That's when you're going to have a real financial hole. And I know a lot of people think if we go down, it means Sullivan sells up and that gives them a little bit of a silver lining in a dark cloud. I don't believe that. I don't believe if we get relegated, Sullivan will sell up because I've always believed Sullivan wants to make a load of money out of owning West Ham United. He's already made 20 million profit. I've always thought he wants to make hundreds of millions when he goes to sell the club. His priority, his ambition is to sell and make a lot of money. But if we get relegated, that's going to prevent that happening. I think if we get relegated, I just don't see Sullivan selling up. If I believed it, I could then subscribe to the idea that, oh, well, at least if we go down, we get the reset, Sullivan does one, maybe things will be better. And I'm not saying you're wrong, by the way. Those that believe that, you could be right. I don't know. It's just my opinion. But all along, I've had this opinion that Sullivan's here to cash in. And I don't think relegation allows him to do that. He'd make a profit, but comparable to what he'd make today if he sold up or next summer we were in the Premier League, I think there's a significant amount of money there. And I don't think he'd be willing to give that portion of money up. Personally, could be wrong, but that's why I can't feel comfortable. Anyway, right, it's time to turn to live chat. That's my thoughts on it. Back or sack. They have to do one. They cannot do neither. Doing neither is incredibly dangerous. And sometimes I listen to my friends that don't support West Ham. I get a neutral perspective and whatever. And in the summer, and one of my best friends that lives in Stoke supports Stoke. So he's got no bias when it comes to the Premier League. And in the summer, when I said, I think we'll be in a relegation battle, potential to get relegated, but if we do all right in this transfer window, we'll probably be okay. And he was like, what? Nah, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, you won't go down. I think you'll be in the bottom half of the table, but I think you'll be okay. You won't get relegated. Anyway, last night, he's messaging me last night going, yeah, okay, I think you were right. Even the neutrals are now thinking we're doomed. It's not just us. That worries me a little bit. Someone that used to think we'd be fine is now not thinking we're fine. But anyway, I'm going to turn to live chat, see what they're all saying. You can put any thoughts into live chat. It doesn't have to be about Potter or the board. It could be about anything you want to talk about in relation to West Ham. Get it in. But if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. Well, actually, you might not want to subscribe. I'm going to be grumpy for the next few days. I do apologize, but I've only got one rule on channel. Be honest. It's not about being right or wrong. Who cares? We're football fans at the end of the day. It's up to the board to get it right. They depend on being right or wrong. Me, you, it doesn't really matter. We're just football fans. But if you fancy moaning, do subscribe and also drop a like on the video by clicking thumbs up. There's a video going up later today about Magassa, and I appreciate people think, read the room, Gio, like we don't want a video about a transfer. It feels like that one might happen. So I've spoken to someone that knows about Magassa, and it was arranged before the game. A break from Potter, I guess. Andrew said, I'd take a gamble and bring in Bilic till the end of the season with Potts and Keane and Noble as part of the backroom staff. It's got to be better than the names being bandied about. Yuha says it can always get worse. Potter sacked. We get Cooper after transfer window shuts. Bowen breaks his legs. It can always get worse. Phil saying either back or sack right now. He's clearly incapable of getting what we have. Better motivated and organised. It's basically the same players he's had last year in pre-season. I completely agree with everything Phil just said there. Peter saying the only value in the club is the players that we have. We've got no assets. The value of the players is going down with every game. Hammer99 saying amateur leadership at the top, poor training ground, poor manager, poor squad building and depth. Very depressing times. A different Phil says the idea is about Sullivan selling up. It's not going to happen. Lee saying if it's true, Sullivan should be going all out to make West Ham one of the most attractive clubs to buy and get the biggest profit. We're duped. I agree, but I don't think he wishes to spend money in order to try and do so. I think he just wants to get by, stay in the Premier League, and hope that someone comes along and takes the club off his hands. Jamie said, well, it was a nightmare last night. I was wetting myself and calling Sullivan a spunk goblin. Sorry, I think maybe I went far. I was calling Sullivan that, not Graham Potter. I think I called Potter a PE teacher. I can't remember. I was annoyed last night. I was angry last night. Kind of regret saying it, but Harry saying we're relying on big fat Madakanakis to save our season. Jake saying I think it's too late. We need at least 5 players in 9 days, and the Jizz Goblin won't find the money anyway. Michael saying, I take Nuno if he leaves Forest in the next few weeks. Brad saying, if Potter can't get a team to play now, he's surely lost the dressing room. Hammer99 saying, 3 people I didn't want to hear from last night were sent out to do media duties. Wilson, Ward-Prowse and Graham Potter read the room. I just saying, Galaxy or Cadbury's. Ooh, plain chocolate, just chocolate on its own, dairy milk. But if there's a bit of a flavour, possibly like the Caramel Galaxy. But I do like my favourite chocolate bar, admittedly. I've got 2, Tony chocolate only, the sea salt and caramel one, and dairy milk popping candy one. I go get a bar of that, sit and just pig out watching football today. Clayton saying, I really do not want to see Potter backed. He can't play a system that gets the best from the players he has. Simon saying clubs are not worth buying in the Premier League because new owners are not allowed to compete with the big 6 with PSR rules. There is ways around it. Look at Chelsea. There's ways around it. Let's just call it Rich Man. Rich Man comes along, buys West Ham United. Rich Man can sell the women's team of the West Ham women's team to Rich Man's other company. That'll allow him to put 50 million into the club. Rich Man could sponsor the London Stadium's naming rights. Granted, the LLDC takes the first 4 million, but after that, it gets divvied up between the LLDC, the London Stadium, and West Ham United. That's another way of putting money in. We've still got that 90 million. We haven't, that 90 million that the shareholders can put in and attribute it towards PSR in terms of equity shares. We've not done that. Well, we have with Kretinsky, but that was over 3 years ago now. So we've got a 9-day, but we've got a 90 million window of opportunity there. I think there's ways of getting money into the club. You've just got to be creative about it. Our board don't care, but a new owner, there's ways of doing it. I do admit, by the way, I'm also saying, Simon, I will concede that you can't just put in unlimited funds. There is a set amount you can put in. But you look at Chelsea, the public investment fund in Saudi own, or they're certainly heavy investors in the company that owns 61% of Chelsea. Might have that percentage slightly wrong, but if you Google it, it won't be far off. And that public investment fund in Saudi have been funding Chelsea, selling players to Saudi. For example, João Felix went for 47 million this summer. Mendy went over there. There's been quite a few players that's gone from Chelsea to Saudi for, let's just call it, generous transfer fees. And the funding for Saudi is public investment fund, which are investors in the company that has a majority shareholding in Chelsea. It's allowed. Nigel said, I know it sounds desperate, but this is where we are. We are on track to be relegated. Yeah. Stephen saying Sullivan will be carried out in a box and his kids are taking over. Daz is saying formation's awful, crap keeper, 3 centre-backs who can't defend, 2 awful central midfielders, Bowen and Fulkrug wasted, players and managers and owners who don't care. I'm done with Sullivan. I hate him. It's sad. David saying can't back because he's got anal over a keeper who can't keep. No confidence in him buying players and playing them. The one thing I will say, if I defend Potter a little bit here with Hermansen, and listen, I wanted him as well. I can't pretend I didn't, right? I did. Potter heavily relies on his goalkeeping coach when it comes to purchasing a goalkeeper. I appreciate he may have the final say, but he heavily relies on him. And in the minute we signed Ankergen, who worked with Hermansen at Bromby, Hermansen came in. So I think it's Ankergen that wanted Hermansen. But like I said, I will concede that Potter ultimately has the final say, I think. And that's why we've gone and got him. So when it's buying in Hermansen, I think it's maybe more the goalkeeping coach rather than Potter. Kev said it wouldn't be West Ham. We weren't going through crap every single season. Blank saying Slaven Bilic by a previous subscriber is a great shout. He would get us playing properly, and as a next defender, he would sort us right out. We did concede a lot under Bilic, though. I'm a big Bilic fan, though, but we did concede a lot of goals. Seiji said, I don't actually think there's much point in changing managers at the board. Won't back him anyway. I agree. Brady laughs at how glaringly obvious we need pace, and that was insulting. Honestly, that really annoyed me in that interview she did when she said, oh, you need patience. She went, everyone can see that. I thought, well, do something then. Lewis saying you get different types of managers. Some are better at taking a good situation, making it better. Others are capable of salvaging a terrible situation. Don't think Potter is the right man. See, I'm inclined to agree with that. Kerry says, bring in Liam the senior. I wouldn't be against that, actually. I was impressed with what he did at Hull, and I've been impressed with what he's done at Strasbourg. I've kept my eye on him, actually, because of when he was at Hull, I watched Hull that season quite a lot, and I thought he was good. Josh would promote the under-23 staff and probably half the team. Don't think any manager available would sort us out. We'd take Carrick, but I think we'd end his career. Nay saying, I generally think if I was a scout for West Ham, we'd be in Europe most years. Our recruitment is beyond poor. Does the recruitment team even watch football? Edward saying, sorry for criticising negativity. You are spot on. We're done. You're the first person. I'm not just saying this. You're the first person ever who's had a dig at us for being negative. So for what Edward's referring to is when we did the Sunderland preview, myself and Gonzo were a little bit downbeat about the match and about the season. And Edward basically said, and he said it with tongue in cheek. He was very kind about it. I remember the comment well. Edward basically said, bloody hell, boys, I was buzzing for the new season. I've tuned into the preview and I'm proper, you made me depressed. And he was having a laugh with us. He wasn't slagging us off. He did it the right way, right? And he's come back to basically sorry for saying that you've been negative. You're the first person ever that's come back that I can remember that's come back and sort of done that, really. Most people just, I don't know. ignore it, I guess. Right, let me skip the live chat bit. I've just realised there's a lot of comments. Harry saying confirmed deal from Alvarez. That's true. It came up on my phone just before I went live, saying that Alvarez has now signed for Fenerbahce on loan. I just say we need a commanding centre back, an athletic midfielder, a wide player for cover and rotation, a pacey forward. Well, I kind of agree. I'm going to say the only thing I disagree with you there is the wide player for cover rotation. I think the players we bring in have to be good enough for the starting 11, and that's every position. The midfielders, the defenders, and the attacker. I think they all need to be good enough. Pigs is saying why are Forrest tempted to part ways. It's very similar actually to sort of like Moyes and Sullivan and Steiden. Let me just skip to the end of the chat. I'm sorry if I'm going to have to miss your comments. I will keep them coming in. So what Nuno used to speak to Marinakis on a daily basis, and then in the summer, Edu, who was previously at Arsenal, he's gone to Nottingham Forest and he's taken charge of the transfer window. So that communication between Nuno and Marinakis is now decreased a lot because Edu's come involved. And I guess it's similar if you want to look at it from a West Ham example. I think maybe David Moyes and David Sullivan maybe got on or certainly had a good relationship. Then when Steiden came in, there was someone in the middle of them, and I think that contributed to the deterioration of the relationship between Moyes and Sullivan. I think that's what's happening at Nottingham Forest at the minute. I think Nuno just doesn't feel as connected to Marinakis anymore, but also he's having less influence on the transfer window. So I think Nuno really wanted Adama Traore, and they didn't go get him. And they've gone and got other players that perhaps Nuno wasn't that keen on. But I believe Nuno still had a big say in the transfer window this summer, just maybe a little bit less of a say than what he previously had. Anyway, sorry for going on about Nottingham Forest, but someone asked about it, and that's my understanding of it. I do my best to keep up with what's going on in the Premier League. I just want to say thank you to 4 people. Gary, thank you very much. It's time to go. We've got to get that changed now. Thank you for £2 super chat and supporting the channel. Meow says, I know Alvarez thing is over, but I missed him against Chelsea. Seiji, go get yourself half that. I will get half that chocolate bar, Seiji. Thank you. I've got to wait for it to go on club card price. I won't pay full price for it. I've got to wait. And Brian lost his mother to Alzheimer's overnight. She supported West Ham. Oh, Brian, and that's sad. I feel bad moaning now about West Ham. I feel terrible moaning about West Ham now. I don't know. I'll be honest with you, Brian. I'm crap with things like this. I never know what to say, but bless you. You're a good person, and I hope you're doing okay as well as things can be. And sleep well, Mama Flowers. Bless her. Prolapse saying, when you put a keeper that is not connected to the players, what can you expect? What did Potter expect of that, or think of that? Sorry, horrible. Ryan saying, is it true Potter Sullivan's considering? The one thing I will say, right, is that Clayton saying none of our problems will go away until the owners and the board are gone. Bradley saying we signed players to suit a 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 over the last few years, and we brought in a manager who plays back 3. The thing is, Potter doesn't always play a back 3. Potter very often throughout his career has played a back 4. If you look at his time at Brighton, I think Chelsea, I think it was 50-50 between a back 3 and a back 4. I think it was 50% actually split, which can be right because he was there for 31 games, I think. So that's impossible. Maybe we played a back 2 one game just to make it 15 each for the back 3, back 4 thing. But Potter hasn't always played a back 3. He's been very adaptable. That's the surprising thing with me is I'm sort of waiting for this plan B, this other side of his tactics. It just hasn't existed. And I was going to say something else, and I've completely forgotten now. It was off the back of someone's comment earlier. Let me see if I can. Oh, here we go. Ryan, is it true Sullivan's considering? I don't think so. The one thing that goes against Potter in terms of retaining his job, and this is why the Potter appointment didn't completely make sense, and that is that Sullivan didn't want Potter. You know, we're going back a couple of years ago now, when Potter was at Brighton. Sullivan didn't want him. Sullivan's told people he's only good because of the structure at Brighton and the way Brighton's run as a football club. It makes Potter look good. I'm not even convinced he's that good a manager. Like, Sullivan did not like Graham Potter when he was at Brighton. But we've gone and got him in, and there's a suspicion, and I subscribe to this, which is that it's Brady that wanted him, and Brady's husband's mates with him, so on and so forth. It feels like a Brady appointment rather than a Sullivan one. But here's the problem for Graham Potter. I don't think Sullivan's ever been his biggest fan. And I wouldn't be surprised if right now Sullivan sat there thinking, I was right. I was right about this guy. He's not good. So I think if we are going to sack him, I think we might, because I'm not sure Sullivan was ever too keen on him. Not like, say, Lopetegui. That was Sullivan. Sullivan wanted Lopetegui, and he ended up sacking him, and that was someone he wanted. And we weren't, in the relegation zone of that when we sacked him either. We were 14th in the league. So will they sack Potter? I think it's possible. I don't think it'll be today. I don't think I will be shocked if Potter is not here for the first game after the international break, because that's Spurs. It is, isn't it? Spurs at home. I think Spurs at home. I think Potter will be here for that, regardless of what happens in the next couple of weeks. So we've got Wolves, Forest, and the transfer window. I think Potter will will get those 2 games regardless. But that international break, if we get beat by Wolves and Forest, I don't know, four losses, bottom of the table, conceded what, 8 goals already, so we'll lose those 2 games as well. We'd imagine it's now, I don't know, 14 goals conceded or something in 4 games. Maybe he will pull the trigger. I don't know. But this is my point. It's too late then. You cannot do it during that international break. Yeah, it's just too late now. This is now. If the transfer window wasn't open at the minute, I'd understand if they said, oh, no, we're going to give him a little bit more time. I'd sort of get it. But it is open. So the opportunity to make changes to the squad is here. It's now. And I know people will say it's been 2 games, but for me, it hasn't been 2 games. It's been 20 games in the league now. It's not 2 games into the season. It's 7 months into Graham Potter. And he's had half a season where there wasn't really much pressure, and he's had pre-season. And this is what he's come up with. And I agree. I am one of those that keeps saying it. This squad is not good enough. This window is not good enough. We haven't backed Graham Potter yet. But I'm not going to apologize for expecting him to be doing better with the current group of players. If I felt, like I said last night, if I could watch us in the first 2 games of the season and genuinely hand on heart look at it and go, all right, if we get into athletic midfielders, I can see what's going to happen. Do you know what? The defense is playing well, the attack's playing well, the midfield's crap, right? I'd say, listen, there's loads of green shoots here. There's loads of evidence to say why we'll be all right. We just need to get those midfielders in. But there isn't any. The defense is crap. The midfield's crap. Our attack's crap. Our goalkeeper's crap. And yes, I wanted him, right? I wanted him. But the reality is he's been crap so far. No one's playing well. Everyone's playing rubbish. If you're going to play 3 centre-backs, there has to be a benefit, which is defensively you are solid. We've conceded 8 goals. We're not solid defensively. We're sacrificing an extra man in attack to make the defense better. We've conceded 8 goals in 2 games. It's not better. It's crap. I look at, is the squad good enough? No. But is Potter getting the best out of the squad? No. Do I think if we take out Ward-Prowse and Souček and put in 2 new signings, we become good? No. That's my issue at the minute. That's my big concern. But the problem is, who do we go get? With this lot in charge, it'll be Cooper or Dyche, won't it? It'll be one of those 2. It'll be one of them. And it's that bad. I've actually been having sort of conversations with myself. As much as I don't want Dyche, it's got that bad. Last night, I was thinking, would it be any worse under Sean Dyche? That's how bad it's got. I'm actually almost talking to myself, thinking, would it be the worst appointment in the world? Would we be all right? Bloody hell, this is how bad it is. Anyway. Potter, to sum it up, Potter isn't the biggest problem at the club. He's a million miles away from being the biggest problem at the club. Could he succeed at this club? Probably not. But is he a problem at the club? Yes. Is he part of a problem at the club? Yes. But is he the biggest one? No. If we change managers, do we Get better? Possibly. Are we guaranteed to get better? Not necessarily. Does the big problem still remain? Yes. That's how I'd sum it up at West Ham at the minute. Right. Clayton says, I really do not think a new manager under the current owners makes any difference. Look at Moyes' season and winning the trophy. We deteriorated so quickly afterwards due to the poor owners. Mitch saying, can't say he hasn't been backed when he's went out and bought a goalkeeper who can't use his hands instead of a midfielder. We've needed for ages now. Fair. Even if he's bought in a goalkeeper and a left wing back, I struggle to see that as being backed. He's got 2 players that he wanted. I don't class that as being backed personally. Lee's saying a Premier League coach should be able to make whatever team he has do a job. The Premier League players. The players obviously are not buying what Potter is selling. He said what I was trying to say a little bit better than I did. Raja saying if they don't strengthen the squad, we will beat Derby's record. James from E20's own TV, West Ham fan YouTube channel. If you haven't already subscribed, saying this isn't on Potter. Bones is saying it's not 2 games. He's had long enough to make us look like we have improved. He has the worst win percentage of any of our previous managers, apart from Avram Grant, and I can't see where the next wins are coming from. Robert saying no quality coach will come to this club, especially at this time, and seeing how this circus is run. Well, that's just the same thing for the players, isn't it? You know, any players that we could have got a couple of weeks ago, I wouldn't be surprised they said, "Oh, I've watched you play 2 games now, and I don't really fancy it." And TW said it got crazy when I said we'd be relegation fodder. Got told by so many fans we'd be okay. I hate being right. I like to think that didn't happen on this channel. I think a lot of people were worried about it. Xantis said, respect you for admitting that Hermansen's been crap. Should have got Keller. I don't often go on the defensive. I don't mind. Like say Danny Ings. It doesn't bother me. I can take people saying, "Oh, you wanted Danny Ings," blah blah blah. Like, yeah, I did, but I can't be arsed trying to explain. I just assumed we'd change the system to suit Danny Ings. And then last night, one subscriber, bless him, said, "Hang on a minute, you wanted Keller over Hermansen?" I said, "Yeah, but I couldn't be arsed trying to defend myself by saying he wasn't my number 1 choice. Kelleher was, but he went early in the window. When your number 1 choice goes, you have another your number 2 choice becomes your number 1 choice, right?" So I agree. Kelleher we should have got, but we didn't. He went to Brentford. Saying that, he didn't look great against Nottingham Forest. Kelleher, he didn't have the best start to life at a new club either. But we'll wait and see. And if I do defend myself, I'm not sure what Hermansen did also say his weakness was crossing, right? Now, I thought his strength was shot stopping. So that one against Sunderland, don't know. I can't. There's nothing there. That surprised me. But the things last night, I wasn't that surprised by it. The good thing is we're doing videos. There's evidence, right? You go back and watch the Hermansen videos with Rick, the one that did the Leicester fan. I remember in there saying, I think his weakness is dealing with crosses. What do you think? So I'll defend myself a little bit, but I wanted Hermansen. I still think he's a good goalkeeper. I do think he needs to come out at the starting 11 and he needs a break, but I still think he's a good goalkeeper. Ian saying you wanted this goalkeeper. I know, Ian. We've just... well, Ian, I'm glad you get everything right in football. I hope you find a job as a professional football scout since you know everything and get everything right. Congratulations on being right on everything. If I check your comments, I'm assuming you predicted we'd get beat 3-0 by Sunderland, we'd get beat 5-1 by Chelsea. I'm assuming that you said that we would sign El Hadji Malik Diouf 2 years ago since you get everything right. It must be good to get everything right. It must be fantastic. That isn't me. I will get loads wrong. I'm a gobby Scotsman on a webcam. Richard saying, what's happened with Wan-Bissaka? I think he's just been exposed. I think he's always switched off at the back post. We've discussed it a lot last season on this channel as well. Look who's ringing me. Look who's ringing me. How does he not know I'm live on YouTube? Good to see Gonzo supporting the channel. Let me hang up on him. James is saying, you know there's a structure problem under Sullivan. Mate, you've just been listening. Have you not been listening to the video? I don't know. Funny thing is, right, James is still saying, James, listen, I'm deaf. I wear hearing aids. Would you like to borrow some? Would you like to borrow these things? Because they allow you to hear a little bit better. There you go. Ryan saying, I thought Hermanson would have been better than he has been. You're not alone. I wish we got Kelleher too, but we missed the boat yet again. Xantis saying, can we cancel the Alvarez one? Nope, he's gone. It's confirmed. Dave saying, go spend time with the family. If anyone can cheer you up, they can. They don't want to spend time with me today. When I finished up my video last night, I went through to my bed, right? Bedroom. Shut down the computer, went through to my bedroom. And as soon as I went in the room, Mrs. Gio said, well, I had to go pick up Grace and bring her through. Poor Grace doesn't get to sleep when I'm doing work in the evening. So I had to carry her through like a bomb. Put her in her cot. Luckily, I managed it. She didn't wake up. All good. I was safe. Not like when we played, I think it was Everton in the preseason game. She woke up and I was up with her until 4 a.m. because she was awake. She was like, hey, I've had my sleep. Let's play. Come on, Dad, let's play. I'll go downstairs and watch Teletubbies with her at 3 a.m. Anyway, put the chicken bomb in her cot, went through to my bedroom. As soon as I went in the room, she said, just go downstairs. I was like, what? She said, I know you're going to be really worked up. You're not going to get to sleep. You're going to lay there, tossing and turning, huffing and puffing. She sent me downstairs. So I went and watched the Newcastle documentary on Amazon. I've not finished that one, so I was watching that last night. Anyway, James is saying it's all my fault. I know. I'm sorry. I apologize, everyone. I apologize. Brilliant. I like this one. RJ, they'll take your keeper predictions, but they'll never take your free. I like that one. That's a good one. David's plan to take the weekend off from West Ham. I feel terrible this morning. No faith in the board. Sullivan is too old and backwards to do anything positive. Sam's asking who we want as manager. I don't even know. I don't even care. I'm just. I don't know. We need a medical worker. E20's just turned out. All right, okay, I'll let you off, James. You didn't have to pay £2 to say it. I'm not that cruel. Matthew thinks I talk sense. Why aren't people with platforms like yourself drumming up enough noise? I've covered it before. I've promoted the petition a few times. I don't think it'll work, but I think it's better to do something than nothing. So I've signed it as soon as it was made. I was in the first. I don't know. I wasn't the first. I was maybe like number 500 or something to put my name on it. There was other people a lot more before me, but once I realized it was there, I signed it. And when people say you don't do enough for Sullivan, I think, well, actually, if you haven't subscribed to the channel for more than 2, 3, 4, 5 years, that's okay. It's not your fault. But if you want to go back to 2017, 2018, you'll find me talking about Sullivan on the channel. So I've been talking about Sullivan for 7, 8 years. I don't know, however long it's been. Even when things were good, when people said about Sullivan, when we're doing well under Moyes, I did a video saying I still don't trust Sullivan. We're doing well because of Moyes, not because of Sullivan. I still don't trust David Sullivan. So when people say, why don't you talk about Sullivan? I've spoke about him for years and years and years and years now. I just don't do it in every video because I get bored. I get fed up. There you go. Bodybuilders was there. There you go. Bodybuilders is backing me up, I think, saying that he was here. I've always spoke out against Sullivan. I've never been a fan of him. I don't like him. I've never liked him. I just get bored talking about him on every single video. I don't want to do it. I get bored. So if I get bored, I think the viewers must be getting bored. So I just don't like it. It's the same when, it was at the end of Moyes' tenure. I just don't want to sit here saying Moyes out in every video because I was bored of it. I was like, I'd rather discuss other things around West Ham to keep it interesting for myself. Like today, we've got a video going up. I know some people are going to moan about it because it's a transfer-related video. I spent my gas out because it's a separate topic. I just get fed up. I've made my feelings very clear about David Sullivan on numerous occasions over multiple years. It's not really changed. It probably won't ever change. I just don't like to repeat it in every single video. But I do realize when I'm doing this, some people aren't aware because they've not been around long enough, which is fair enough. But then I think, well, you can't make assumptions. I don't mind if people said, oh, what's your thoughts, by the way? Like, I don't know. That's okay. But I think sometimes make like yourself, whoever that was, I can't recall, made an assumption saying, well, why don't you speak about Sullivan? Well, I have. You just don't know I have. And that's okay. I'm not expecting you to know everything I've said about everyone, but you've just made an assumption. That's like me saying to you, well, why did you vote for Keir Starmer? Well, I don't know you have. I'm just making an assumption. And you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't make assumptions about people's opinions. I would never assume anyone's opinions about in the live chat. You say what you want to say, and I'll take that opinion, and that's that. But I'm not going to, let's just take this one. Let's take a random one here. Peter says, no guarantee we'll come back first goal. That may be like me saying, well, Peter, why don't you protest about it? Why don't you want Sullivan out? Because you think if we go down, we won't come back up. Why don't you want Sullivan out? Well, I don't know if he does or not. I don't know. But I'm not going to assume he doesn't because it would be unfair. Anyway, sorry for ranting away. It's not really a rant. It's just me explaining. I just get bored. I get bored about speaking about the same thing on every single video. I don't want to do it. Anyway. And Tony's saying, sorry you covered this. Why Sullivan got the extra credit facility? I'll finish up with that. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Bill, cheeky, funny. I'll say it again. It doesn't bother me speaking about it. But Harry's got his Patreon mug. That's good. Not everyone will. There's been a problem. Read Patreon. Arthur, thank you very much for the support. Another Geo. Hello. It's like that Spider-Man meme. Anyway, says, hey, Geo, from Geo. Love your insight on these things. Why did Potter think he could do this job? Did they say he'd get transfers? I don't know. That's the million-dollar question for me, really. What was he told? What was he promised? We'll never know. Why did he take it? Honestly, I think he thought he could do it. I think Potter believed, he still says it now, he still believes in himself. I think Potter thought, I'm a good manager, I'm going to go to West Ham, it's a big club, because we are a big club. I thought, I'm going to go to West Ham, it's a big club, I'm going to improve things, I'm going to play good football, and I'm going to repair the damage that's been done to my reputation at Chelsea. I think when he came to West Ham, I know people will laugh, but I said this when he came in, I'll say it again. I think when Potter came back to West Ham, I think he had ambitions greater than West Ham. I would not be surprised if he thought, I'll go to West Ham, I'm going to do well, and when Tuchel goes, which is currently at the World Cup, if I'm not mistaken, that's his contract only runs up until next summer, right? I think he went there thinking, I'm going to go in there, do well, everyone's going to love me, everyone's going to think I'm good again, and when Tuchel buggers off, I'm going to get the England job. That is what I think Potter's ambition and plan was, to repair his reputation and get the England job. Obviously, it's not worked out, but I think that why did Potter take the job? Well, I think that's why he took it. I think he thought he was good enough. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm making an assumption now, but that's my thoughts in regards to the overdraft facility. We've taken out taken out an overdraft facility and a loan. So the first one was with Barclays. It's estimated at 140 million. It was just a guess. We do it every summer. It allows us to access cash now. And the loan with media and rights this time round, we don't know what it's for. I would guess it's 50, 60 million. We'll find out when the accounts come out in December next year, because we're a bit behind. I think it'll be 50, 60 million. It'll be round about there. It won't be too far off, because we do it every summer. I've got a book. I can't remember what it's called. I've read a book about these loans, because the person behind the loan is Michael Tabor, who's a West Ham fan, and he at one point was going to buy the club off Brown. I want to say it was Brown. I can't remember if it was Kearns or Brown, but he was certainly looking at buying into the club. But the problem was he didn't want the spotlight. I don't want people to know who I am. I just want to be in the background. It was a case of, well, you buy the club, you can't do that. So he didn't go ahead with it. But the person, one of, there's not just one, there's more than one person, but one of the people behind the company that we just borrowed money from is a West Ham United fan, Michael Tabor. Google it if you don't believe me. But I read a book about it. Can't remember what it's called. Something to do like football's dark finance or something. I can't remember. I'm just guessing what it is. I'd have to Have to have a little look at it. I read it a couple of years ago anyway. Anyway, right, I'm going off a tangent. Why we got it? It's cash flow. We need the money, and we'll do the same again next summer. Next summer, we will take out another loan, rob Peter to pay Paul. Well, borrow from Peter to fund Potter is what we're doing at the minute. I'm gonna disappear. Thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate it. See, there you go. Steve remembers Tabor. I'm glad it's not just me, but Tabor is behind. Yeah, yes. Fortunes, it is. Harry Redknapp, you're right. You've just triggered something. And Mercedes is in. He's a big West Ham fan, Tabor is. And Harry Redknapp, you're right. Harry Redknapp was the manager at the time when Tabor was looking at buying West Ham United. I remember you triggered that memory. Thank you very much. That was in the book. And it was Redknapp that basically said, oh, you can't just not get hands on, you've got to. And I think that put Tabor off. I thought, hang on a minute. So I think Redknapp put him off buying West Ham United. Anyway, he's one of those involved in the company we've just borrowed money from. That's all I'm going to say. Well, I'm going to disappear. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for putting up with me. I do appreciate it. I appreciate I'm a bit grumpy. But I'm not going to lie. I am feeling grumpy. I'm feeling sad this morning. But I'm off, and I'll be back later on this afternoon. I've done a video with Sloth talking about Magassa. I appreciate no one's going to like it. But I still think, even though we're all angry about the situation, I still think we're going to buy players. I still think we're going to go bring in players that Potter wants. And I think Magassa's one of them. I'll catch you in a bit.